Um, this is Capricorn Podcast 2. Um, Basically, I'm supposed to go through the houses with you guys. Um, I did that in the first episode, the first show. Um, kind of went through it thoroughly, but I'm going to do it again. And if you guys got any questions or anything like that, you could always uh, leave comments or go into chat or whatever. I'll try to answer it the best I can. Um, in the zodiac, there's 12 signs and there's 12 houses. So apparently, um, you when you do your natal chart, um, your sign, um, your sign, depending upon what time you were born, you could land on a different house from a different sign. So we went through Donald Trump's. Donald Trump is a Gemini. And he's in the 10th house of Capricorn. So when he was born, the Gemini constellation was in Capricorn. It was right above it. So let me go through the 12 houses with you, and you could see what I'm. If it could help a little bit. There are 12 houses in the chart. The first house is run by Aries, which is the self. Now, the 12th house, I'm going to go a little bit backwards. The 12th house is Pisces. Between the 12th house and the first house is a point called the AC. This is where the self is representative. Like if you have a certain sign, you'll have a certain sign on your AC. It's different for everybody. So when it's on your AC, basically, that represents the mask that you present to the world to say that you bring in this persona to the world. And depending upon the sign, it's basically the type of energy you cast out to people. So the 12th and the first house, they're similar. They're the self. Okay. So the first house is basically run by Aries. Aries is a fire sign, and it's the self. And it's basically, attitude, identity, the approach to life. It's a fire sign. The second is Taurus. They're they are an earth sign. They represent the material. It could be either good or bad. Doesn't necessarily mean it's negative. It doesn't mean Tauruses are greedy. It's just what type of energy that individual will have to deal with in their lifetime. Money, work, income. Oprah, Elvis, their natal signs were in the second house. So Oprah, if I'm correct, would have been is a double Taurus. I think Oprah's a Taurus, and she landed in the Taurus house. And Elvis is a Capricorn, and he landed in the second house. And ironically, both of if I'm correct, um, if my memory serves me, both both of their Mercuries are in the second house, and Mercury as a natal planet, their natal Mercuries are in the second house. That represents money, but it also represents communication. The third house is run by Gemini. Gemini is an air sign. It has to do with the mind, communication, thinking, siblings, family, social activity, interests, neighbors, and early education. They're an air sign. So the third house is ruled by Gemini, and they're an air sign. Fourth is um, Cancer. They're water sign. They represent the father, home, self-care, emotions, foundations, mother, children, sometimes family. Um, they're a water sign. Uh, um, they're the fourth house. The fifth house is a fire sign, Leo. It's pleasurable things such as romance, love, children, creativity, everything that's basically beautiful in life, self-expression, um, pleasurable things. Um, um, just to jot back a little bit, um, the first house of Aries, the second house of Taurus, and the third house of Gemini, and the fourth house of Cancer. These four houses somewhat have the similarities of one thing in particular, and that has to do with the self. So the individual who are born under these signs have to deal with um, their self as like a borderline kind of thing. It's like a plateau, or it's like the heartbeat of their lives has to do with self. Um, the next four houses, the fifth, Leo, sixth, Virgo, seventh, Libra, eighth, Scorpio, have to do with maturity. These four houses, the fifth, the sixth, the seventh, the eighth, all have to do with maturity. Usually, these individuals, as they grow older, their lives have a tendency to blossom out, bloom out. Um, their their capabilities in life as they grow older tend to bloom. So if we go back to the fifth, that's ruled by Leo. It's a fire sign, and it's ruled by Leo. Um, the romance, love. Virgo is basically earth sign. Virgo has to do with fitness, health, cleansiness, habits, sense of usefulness, has to deal with socialization with people. And it's similar to its neighbor, the seventh house of Libra. Libra is an air sign, has to do with relationship, marriage, contracts, business, equality, sharing. Um, Libras are air signs. They rule the seventh house. And usually when you put in your natal chart, when you find your natal chart, the sign that is in your seventh house represents what type of people are attracted to you. So if if your if your seventh house has Pisces, then Pisces represents self, but it also represents creativeness and imaginativeness. It has to do with the mind. And those type of people in the seventh house, um, if it's in the seventh house, those are the people that will be attracted to you. I've seen it time and time again, and it's true. The eighth house is Scorpio. Has to do with sex, money, death, um, loans, money, other people's money, mystery, the underworld, that sort of thing. So those four, and Scorpio's a water sign. Those four houses, the fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth, have to do with maturity. So those people that are born as a Leo, Virgo, Libra, or Scorpio, as they grow older, their lives begin to bloom out a little bit more. So if we go into the ninth house, the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th have to do with their main goal, their main focus is basically career. So the 10th house is a fire sign. The ninth house is a fire sign. The ninth house, Sagittarius, has to do with travel, wisdom, teaching, cultural relations, learning, ethics, law, higher education. Usually Sagittarius are authors or teachers. They're a fire sign. So they basically, they're similar to Capricorns, and they kind of blend in with Capricorns. It's just like similar, the same type of season. And they have to do with career. So with Capricorn being Earth sign in the 10th house, it is career, long-term goals, structure, government, public image. It has to do with fathers and fame. But fame is, could be good or bad, but yet the 10th house is career. So it's similar. It's an earth sign. Capricorn's earth signs, but it's similar to Sagittarius. So then if you go into the next 11th house, 11th house is Aquarius. They're an air sign. They deal with groups, families, social structures, social awareness, humanitarian, technology, and they do things for the future. They work with things that deal with the future, similar in those retrospects. They're an air sign in the 11th. The 12th is Pisces. They're a water sign. They deal with, they work in career as well, but they're similar to Aries. Going back to Aries, they deal with self a lot. They deal with imaginativeness, the afterlife, old age. They deal with things that are very creativeness, and they deal with self. So this is basically the chart in retrospect, what the signs represent and what they hold as an energy. So going back to, like I said, if you're like somebody like Donald Trump, you get into one of these websites that create your natal chart by drawing up the natal planets to the date of your birth. And those planets never move. They're called natal planets. And it's a map of what type of structure your life will be. Yeah. So if we remember in the first episode, Donald Trump is a Gemini in the 10th house. He was a father. Depending upon if you put your prejudice to a side, he was successful. He is successful. He was very career-minded. He has his natal sun is in Gemini, and that Gemini is in the 10th house of Capricorn. So if you looked at his moon, if we go back and look at his moon, he has a what do you call it? Sagittarius moon, and that moon is in Sagittarius. It's in the 4th house. If you see his moon there, it's in the 4th house of fatherhood, of basically all things that deal with home. He has 4 kids, but Sagittarius represents like teaching. It's a fire sign, so he believes that he is like a teacher in some ways. He's here to teach you something, obviously. He knows what to do, that type of attitude. The moon represents the subconscious. And going back to his Gemini sun in the 10th house, it's also conjunct to a reference point. It's called the North Node. It looks like a small little horseshoe, and it's just a reference point. It's a reference point of where the eclipses will be in that year, and we'll get into it later. I don't have to get into it now, but basically, that's what I want to tell you now. I'm going to keep these videos short because I don't want to what do you call it? Confuse people or anything of the sort. Thanks for listening in.